So I've got this funny story to tell you guys which kind of addresses the mindset of optometry students, and I'll talk about it further later in the video. So this story took place in my third year of my optometry degree at the University of Auckland, which is some time ago now. And thinking about it, that was back in 2013, and this video was shot in 2022, so almost 10 years ago. But anyway, third year of my degree, we're doing an open book test. So this open book test, if you don't know what an open book test is, it's basically a test where you can bring in any material. So you can bring in textbooks, you can bring in your lecture notes, and I think this test was for vision science. So vision science is basically how the brain understands vision. We're all doing this test, about 50 of us in the class, and midway through the test, the professor kind of stops everyone from doing their work, and we're all kind of shocked because it's only halfway through the test. We definitely had more time. So I remember this, everyone stopped, and like it was kind of a stunned silence. And we're all looking at this professor. So to get an idea, this professor is probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I remember all the girls had a crush on him, not just by how he looked, but his like presence and his personality. That's the type of guy we're looking at. And we were all in stunned silence and shocked because this guy, who's usually had got a pale complexion, he was going completely red. He was completely red, quite mad, quite furious. This is probably the first time I've ever seen him angry. And like, it's to a point where this guy is so nice, you couldn't even believe that he'd get that angry, but he was mad. And the fact that he was mad meant that one of us did something wrong. And we're all looking around, wondering what's going on. Then he tells us to do one thing. He tells us to stand up and pull our pants down. Okay, I'm just kidding. But what actually happened was, he had this piece of paper held in front of him. Now, with the open book test, you have to remember you can bring in most things, but the person behind me, my friend, they made the mistake of bringing in something that you shouldn't. And that's what my professor was holding up in front of us. My professor was holding up a naughty magazine. Now, I'm just kidding again, it wasn't a naughty magazine. Now, to give you just a bit more context, our professors and lecturers made the pretty naughty habit of reusing questions from previous years. And the teaching staff made the assumption that we didn't have a backlog of previous test results. That's for most tests anyway. And you can probably guess what my friend brought in. Yes, he brought in a previous test paper from a previous year. Now, yes, it was a bit silly of my friend to bring in that previous test paper, but that wasn't the most scandalous thing. What was truly scandalous was when my professor showed that test paper, that was the first time about half the class knew that this test paper existed. So some people had this test paper and some people didn't. The playing field wasn't level. So not only was our professor upset that half the class were cheating, half the class didn't even know this test paper existed. Half the class were absolutely fuming. I remember on our Facebook group, people were leaving sour comments. And that was a point where unrecoverable grudges were made. And that was 10 years ago. Now, you guys are wondering if I had that test. No, I wasn't the person who had that test. My position at the time, I was a class rep, so it was my responsibility to be able to distribute any material that we had within the class to keep things fair. I wasn't too worried about it because I was pretty prepared for the test. Even though some of my friends had it, hey, maybe I'm stupid, but that's beside the point. I didn't make this video to complain about why I didn't get the test. I made this video to purely observe the mindset of optometry students, especially with this kind of example or the story. When you think about optometrists, you think about people who are compassionate, who want to help people. But in this scenario, I saw competitiveness. I saw people wanting to do better than others. I saw unfairness. All the opposite qualities of what makes a good optometrist. People in my class, they cared about grades, and as we know, grades are vanity. Essentially, half the class were willing to cheat just so they could do better. We weren't thinking like a cohesive unit. But I think this is the wrong way to think. We should be thinking in a world of abundance. And the way an abundant person thinks is, if this person wins, I can win too. I remember back at optometry school, we had these very exclusive cliques where some people helped others. It was like tribes and alliances that were forming. And I'm glad I'm not a part of that anymore. But I don't want it to happen to any future optometry classes or students. Now, I want to say it's good to be competitive, but we should also want other people to succeed as well. And we shouldn't get to a point where it's so competitive that we want other people to fail. And this is something I want to get better at. This is a message I want to send out to everyone else. If you're jealous of other people's successes, you yourself will not be successful. So if you guys are optometry students, please work together. If you have any learning material, please share it out to the entire class. Make a level playing field. If you'd like to watch more, here's a video about why straight A's won't make you a good optometrist. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Stay focused. Talk soon.